The situation in Argentina continues to escalate as the value of their currency depreciates. It's a story that many countries in South America are encountering today, including Venezuela. Nations who were once much better off are now suffering as the citizens are unable to make ends meet. The currency is quickly becoming worth less and less, and that is having a devastating impact. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at two countries, Argentina and Venezuela. Jam-packed episode for you today. Let's get into Argentina first. The pressure on the Argentine peso showed no sign of letting up on Friday, with the currency sinking to a new low after the country bit the bullet and turned to the IMF for help in stabilizing the economy. That was supposed to reassure the markets. That was supposed to stabilize things, but instead it continued to decline. The peso slumped 5.4% to 24 in early trade. The stock market went down, and you also had the century bond, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Not the only country to do it, of course, but it slipped down to 87 cents on the dollar. This is a big mistake from the very beginning, but they were desperate. They wanted to get more investment in. They wanted to be able to bring in some of that value, but ultimately we see what happens. It was funny that they actually sold a heaping pile of these century bonds, and yet now it's doing terribly. You knew that this country has a history of default, that there was going to be inflation, that there is going to be a devaluation of the currency. So why would you give your money for 100 years? Of course, they would never hold to maturity anyway, but the principle is a little silly to begin with. We need to be able to fix the issues that are happening in Argentina. This is one of the richest countries at one point, and it has fallen ever since. Truly sad. The renewed sell-off underscores the challenge that the current government faces in restoring investor confidence following 2 weeks that saw the central bank burn through $5 billion and raise interest rates to 40%. Right? So all of that led to the IMF coming in and trying to save the day. Didn't seem to do that at all. And you could see here the devaluation of the currency, showing you what it would take to buy $1 US. So this is back in the beginning of 2017, and it was right around 16. Now today, rising up to about 23. This is something that is probably going to get worse and worse as time goes on. This is not something that is happening slowly. Look at it. In just over a year, the currency has depreciated significantly. And you could look at it from the financial investment perspective on it. But if you want to think of what's going to happen, you need to understand boots on the ground, grassroots, the actual citizens, and how it is affecting them. It is having a very big effect. Many people think that somehow, if something happens in their country, that it's only going to affect them locally or won't have an effect on imports and exports. You need to realize how this all plays out geopolitically and, of course, internationally. Emerging market currencies have struggled this year. Let's take a look at some of these different currencies here, whether it is in South Africa, Brazil, Turkey, and Argentina. Argentina's, clearly, unfortunately, has really come down quite a bit. The Brazilian currency as well throughout this time frame, not quite as bad, but here it is. It looks like about minus 7% or so coming down since the beginning of the year. That's really not a good sign as well. You could see the other currencies there. Moving on. Not enough. Argentina's highest ever foreign currency reserves did little to stem its current crisis. Argentina's foreign exchange reserves, take a look, that they've increased over these years, but what has it done to stabilize their currency? Nothing. It hasn't done anything, because when there is fear, ultimately the fragility will be exposed. And that's what's happening right now in Argentina. Market cap here, taking a look at these different countries. You can see that obviously the Brazil market is much, much higher. Looking at that here, Argentina went from robust to bust in a matter of months, leaving investors scratching their heads. Among the mysteries, why the country's record hoard of currency reserves, often seen as a shield against foreign exchange volatility, did so little to stem the crisis. Right. I'm going to make the same point again here, but let me just read this quickly. The lesson seems to be that loads of dollar reserves alone can't make up for the weakness in a country's economic underpinnings. Foreign investors who had been burned by Argentina's repeated defaults over the years reassured the country's rising reserve bulwark edged back into the country in recent years, buying up assets like the 100-year government bond. All right. They thought they could save everything, having a lot of reserves, century bond, bringing up interest rates, and look what happened. This is why you cannot hold cash. You can't hold a lot of cash. You can have some cash, but you can't hold cash. You need to hold real assets. Look, people who are holding gold in Argentina, people who are holding gold in Venezuela, they're doing a lot better. If people were able to afford a home, even if it's not a very nice home, that home may rise nominally. And so some people believe that you can do the same thing with stocks. If you look at the Venezuela stock market as an example, it has performed extremely well. Doesn't mean that, of course, necessarily you would want to buy that. But the whole point is that nominally, you're going to do better than somebody who's going paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, heavily in debt, and they are unable to pay everything back. Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, there are some people who believe that it is good to be in debt because of hyperinflation is going to save you. Look at Argentina, look at what's happening specifically in Venezuela. Ask them how debt is working for them, how a hyperinflation is working for them. It's not so nice. You want to be out of debt and you want to hold on to real assets. Because where there is inflation, you are going to do well. You're going to keep up with that. Maybe you'll have to sell some of your assets as time goes on to be able to support yourself, but you have something to sell. A lot of these people are fleeing, and I'm going to get more into that in a moment here. Well, right here. Trapped in an economic, social, and political crisis, Venezuela will see regime change soon. That's according to the Colombian president, saying the once rich nation can no longer survive with its corrupt leadership. Many people have been fleeing from Venezuela into Colombia. There is an exodus right now. I mean, it is truly insane, the numbers that I've seen, and I'll show you more on that in a moment. He's predicting this. He's saying, look, Venezuela is the richest country by far in Latin America. It has the world's largest oil reserves, even larger than Saudi. And with a change in the regime, which will happen very soon, the Venezuelan economy will start to do better. And it's going to be good for Colombia. That's what he's saying. That's the president here of Colombia predicting it. Now, look at what has happened. At least 1 million people have entered Colombia from Venezuela since Maduro's government descended into crisis last year. 1 million people. We're not talking about a small amount. This is not, as I've covered here on the channel before, people leaving one state in the US to go to another. Those are small numbers compared to what is happening in Venezuela. Now, does somebody leave their home because they love to? Because they think it's fun? No, they're desperate. That's why people flee. The same thing is happening over in the Middle East. They're fleeing because of a terrible situation. They don't want to, but they have to. That's happening right now in Venezuela. And this is how you know things have gotten so bad. There's a video game called World of Warcraft, and they have fake gold, okay? Digital gold, all right? That they use, and I guess you can buy things in that game with it. All right. Can you believe this? And I'm going to try to keep a straight face when I say this. That fake gold is worth more than Venezuela's currency. World of Warcraft's virtual gold was worth just under twice as much as the Bolivar. Today, it's worth nearly 7 times as much, and possibly a lot more if you consider the black market value. That's the fake value. Absolutely insane. A video game's currency, which ultimately is worthless. I mean, it has nothing to it. It's a video game. And yet it's worth 7 times more than the official rate, which is unreasonable. It's finished. It's over for the Venezuela currency, the Bolivar. This is how bad it has become. We have to sell our trousers to live. The boots, the gloves. Every time we receive the kit, every few months, we have to sell it to buy food. They were doing an interview with a bunch of people here. Talking about the food situation. You know, they have these arepa, I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know, this particular type of food here, a very simple food, and you know, sometimes they don't even have that. It's unfortunate what's happening to food supply in a country where they can grow all year round. They have so much oil sitting underneath, and yet they can't make ends meet. It's truly an unfortunate scenario, and I hope that it really turns around, but the outlook is not positive. All right. That's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. I'm trying to bring out the information that others do not want to. They may shy away. It's not so fun to read about or to learn about, or it's not exciting like which stock to buy. But I'm talking about what really is important to people and how it affects their lives, no matter where they live. I do videos just recently on, Argentina, Venezuela, Australia, everywhere around the world. And that's one thing that I do more than anybody else. If you want to support me, all you got to do is give me a thumbs up. You just comment on the videos and hit the subscribe button. There are over 100,000 subscribers here on this channel, and I want you to be one of them. So hit that subscribe button and you will get videos every single day talking about information from all over the world. I want to say hello to all the new subscribers who have joined recently. I want to say thank you to all my supporters in any way that you support me. It's truly something that I do appreciate. Now, that's all for this video. If you found this video informative, then I know you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. All you got to do is click on the link in the description. It's going to bring you over to Amazon, where there's a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.